Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we played the center and you playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to recruit you, and I learned that coach didn't have to biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. Martin Houston live on Facebook and YouTube at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. Simulcasting in all of those great places. Don't forget about that Tide 109 app. Download it. Take it with you wherever you go. And also to go back and catch up with past broadcast for this show, as well as all the other great programming that happens right here on Tide 100.9. Make sure you lock in Tide109.com on the internet. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. We're continuing the great conversation we have regarding Alabama and Florida. We'll be looking at getting the keys to victory, players of the game, score prediction around the SEC, the nation, getting your thoughts, your comments. If you want to be in on the program, give us a call at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business, and we bring in X's and O's host, Xavier Houston. How you doing, sir?
Doing good this morning, Dad.
Doing good. Glad to have you as a part of the program. Let's get things going. I mean, any big news happened since yesterday? From the time we went off the air. Undoubtedly, Jedrick Wills listens to our show. We were talking about pro football focus grading of O-line, and Jedrick Wills had some thoughts and opinions on that.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting. You know, when I saw that last night, that in the clip for people that are listening, that he uses is older security guard as he's letting people into a sporting event, and he's just kind of sliding his hands over their arms and down their sides when they're supposed to be checking for weapons or outside alcohol, things like that. And he just kind of just barely touching the top of their arms and their side and letting through.
Yeah, he
was talking about New York left tackle. Or they used it to talk about New York left tackle Andrew Thomas last night, where he was getting his butt handed to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to see.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. Joe, I should have sent you the clip. Should have sent it to you, Joe, this morning. But it was pretty funny when I saw it last night, because we were talking about they don't necessarily always grade on the same criteria that the teams themselves grade on when they're doing the grading. And it was pretty funny because the guy literally was like, whoo! It was like he was warning the people, not actually. He never. I don't know if he physically ever touched them or not, but anyway, pretty funny. But anyway, let's get right into the conversation. talking about keys to victory. One of the things right off the bat that broke last night in regards to this particular game is Gators middle linebacker Ventrell Miller will miss the rest of the season with a torn bicep tendon. He's the leading tackler for the Gators, playing in 11 of the 12 games last fall. How big of a hit, is this for the Florida Gators trying to come in and, well, not come in, but with Alabama coming in, big time loss for them.
Yeah, anytime you lose the guy that is your leading tackler, you see an effect on your team. Alabama saw it a couple years ago when we lost Dylan Moses and didn't have him for the season. And it really depends on who's your backup. Is it a true freshman who doesn't have experience really, getting the number one team in the country coming in for their first big moment? Does the guy coming in have experience that really plays into it? But no matter what, when you're losing the heart and soul of your defense, it affects it in some shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, and that's the key. It's not just that they lost the leading tackler. He is also their signal caller, which that can have kind of I call it a creeping, cancerous effect in terms of how it impacts multiple players. With some teams, especially it's more so on the high school level. I see it quite often. You lose one player, and then instead of moving one player, you end up moving a couple players, or you end up moving multiple responsibilities. So you would assume that the responsibility for the play caller may shift to the other linebacker or a different player. And think about the impact that's had on Alabama. I think Christian Harris is off to a great start and a better start because Toa is the one who's calling the defense. It's a huge blow that you lose your leading tackler, but is it as big or bigger a blow if you lose your signal caller?
Yeah, I definitely think the signal caller has a bigger effect on the defense. And we've seen that we've seen that in the past with Alabama, and a guy like Dylan Moses, who not only was the leading tackler but the signal caller. Then you go back a few years before that, when you had to have Keith Holcomb come in for a couple games and be the signal caller, when that's something he had never done before. It can affect your team in many different ways.
All right. The interesting part of heading into this game, of course, is Alabama's going to have an opportunity to get off to a big start. It's also a big opportunity for the Florida Gators. And fortunately, I have not been watching as much as we've seen. And Curtis Lewis agreeing with you and I, is Davis signal caller much more relevant without a doubt because it cascades down. But let's talk a little bit about the keys to victory and all of that. And I want to go ahead and bring Joe in on this conversation as well. But I'm going to go ahead and say this up front. The old tired narrative of the keys to victory for Alabama. Let's go ahead and get it out and talk about it. Is it relevant or not? Florida, not only do they have one dual threat quarterback, they have two dual threat quarterbacks. And of course, agree or disagree, guys, the narrative is if you're going to beat Alabama, you need to have a dual threat quarterback. Is that an old narrative or a relevant narrative?
I mean, you look at the quarterbacks that have beaten us, even the most recent, in Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence as a freshman. They were athletic guys, maybe not top level dual threat guys, but very athletic guys that can make plays with their legs and their arms. The only quarterback that's beaten us in recent history that wasn't a dual threat would be Joe Burrow. So I'm
gonna disagree with you, Xavier.
It is to this year's team.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I don't think it has anything to do with dual threat. I don't think the dual threat quarterback is an old, tired narrative. The dual threat guy, he always has something else. And it's not, it's very seldom. Maybe I call it extending the pocket, maybe. Because if you go back, first of all, somebody's going to beat Nick Saban. Somebody, hold on, before I get too deep. Joe, let me get your thoughts as well.
Well, LSU, Joe Burrow ended up rushing for big yards in the 2019 game.
Right.
He actually running for 64 yards.
Yeah.
Effective, timely running is kind of more what it's all about, in my opinion. I don't know if it's a tired narrative, but I do probably think it might be too simplistic. I think that, with Florida coming up this week, you got two dual threat quarterbacks, but I mean, I don't know if they quite have the it factor to beat Alabama.
Okay, here's the thing: Nick Saban loses one game a year on average, anyway, right? So somebody's gonna beat him. And when we can sit here and pretty much name the quarterbacks, let think about it. Okay, starting with Steven Garcia. Steven Garcia had Alshon Jeffries. I ain't gonna know all the wide receivers' names, but you'll notice a comment, and they had the game of their life. It would be the best game he ever played. If you take Ole Miss and Sunshine Kid and Pretty Boy and all that, what did they have at Ole Miss? Were they dual threat guys when they beat us back to back? No. They were okay athletic. They could sit in the pocket a little bit, but they had big wide receivers, right? Trevor Lawrence, huh? Trevor Lawrence, athletic kid, not a dual threat guy. I mean, but he's athletic, can stay in the pocket. But what did he have? Ross, okay. Burrows, what did he have? Big wide receiver. Played the game of his life. Bo Nix looked like he was the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback on that day. Was it his legs? No, it was the accuracy in the receiver. And what I'm saying is, we keep saying that like because Johnny Manziel did it. Johnny Manziel also, even with Johnny Manziel, what did he have? Mike Evans. I mean, I guess, does Florida have that ability? Do they have all it takes? And I'm not saying that something's going to beat you, I guess, at some point. And it's just and it's just I don't know. I get so tired of hearing it every single year. And nine of the 12 teams, or 9 of the 15 teams, or 12 of the 15 teams all have dual threat quarterbacks. You see what I'm saying? Like when we play, everybody has a dual threat quarterback these days. So if that's how you beat him, why aren't we losing but one game a year?
Well, I think it's the level of the dual threat quarterback on top of like Curtis said, it's the play calling with the athlete, but you're not going to beat Alabama with a guy just sitting back in the pocket and throwing it 60 times a game. You're not going to beat Alabama with a Mac Jones type of quarterback. You got a guy that can move. You have to.
And see, I would disagree with that. I think Mac Jones, with the right type of play caller and the athletes around him, can beat him. Especially the defenses we've put up the last few years.
But when was the last time we saw that type of quarterback beat it? Like Joe said, Joe Burrows is sneaky athletic. Trevor Lawrence, sneaky athletic. Bo Nix, sneaky athletic. You go back even further, Chad Kelly, sneaky athletic. Bo Wallace, sneaky athletic. All these quarterbacks that have beaten Alabama have been able to make plays with their legs when needed, to extend drives, to get first downs, to break out of that pocket and outrun the edge defender to the corner for a touchdown or whatever.
But you said a Mac Jones. I believe a Mac Jones with – remember, it's not going to be a quarterback that's going to be – it's going to be everybody playing their best day first and foremost. That's going to be the key anyway. And of course, having an athletic quarterback. But what I'm saying is, we play those types of guys every week. We play dual threat guys every week. And the guys who do it, it's when they're on their A game. You go back and look, most of Alabama's losses to the quarterbacks, that would be that quarterback's best day or top 5 day in all of their career. They have had one of their best days, one of play caller's best day. And so what I'm saying is just to throw it out there, and Joe said it best, it's too simplistic. You can't just say, oh, hey, they had a dual threat quarterback. No, it's a dual threat quarterback with the weapons around him, having his best day, whether it's extending plays or, because the guys who've had the most yards against us rushing have been guys like Kellen Mond, but he ain't beat us. He ain't close to beating us. Why? Because his passing was off. So, and that's the kind of the thing. Oh, Curtis Lewis just brought up what was his name? Cordell Jones, Ohio State. Wasn't a mobile guy, but he was probably more of a Mac Jones. I guess that'd be a good call. Good call there. So anyway, but hey, listen, that's why I love this show.
If you kind of put the spotlight on a lot of the receivers that have beaten us as well as the quarterbacks. Is Jacob Copeland the Florida's number 1 receiver? Is he going to be good enough? Is he a good enough pair to? Is he a good enough pair to pair with the two dual threat quarterbacks, Richardson and Emory Jones, to beat Alabama this weekend?
Xavier, good point, Joe. Good question.
I think, of course, everybody, if you remember, Jacob Copeland is the kid that was picking between Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, and he picked Florida. His mom wanted him to go to Bama, and she got up and walked out on his. So I think he'll really be motivated for this game. But the difference is, not only have other teams had a number 1 wide receiver, they've had a second guy to go to. And so far through 2 games, Jacob Copeland looks like a number 1 wide receiver. 190 yards, 2 touchdowns. But Florida doesn't have another wide receiver or tight end or running back that has over 70 yards receiving through 2 games. So it's either been Jacob Copeland or bust so far. So is he talented enough to be that other wide receiver? Yes. But does he have the help so Alabama doesn't just bracket him with Job and Battle or Armar Davis and whoever else?
That's a great question, and good insight there, Xavier. I don't think so. Without, as you said, like I said, and I don't know that the passing yards that the current guys have, Joe and Xavier, is more about big plays than it is about being an accurate passer, consistently moving the ball down the field. And I don't know if either one of these guys have shown themselves in terms of the dual threat guys that have beat us lately. They have been as dangerous with their arm as they have been with their legs, or more dangerous with their arms and a threat with their legs, like the Joe Burrows, Trevor Lawrences of the world, in timely runs. These guys, I think, lean more on the run than they do on the pass, and I think that gives Alabama a huge advantage. Repeat that.
Rushers on the team. Yeah, Richardson's number 1 with 275 yards rushing this season, and Jones is second with 155 yards rushing. Their running backs, they're running more this year, are 3rd, 4th, and 5th on the team in rushing behind both of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, so
they're definitely more of the runner before they are the passer.
And with that said, go ahead, Joe.
Aren't they the number 1 rushing team in the country through the first 2 games?
Yeah.
Yes, and so that's the question: is can you beat this Alabama team with a dual threat quarterback that's heavy run versus pass? We'll talk about the keys to victory on the other side here. We'll continue that conversation. If you'd like to get in on it, 205-342-9904. Taco Casa hotline open for business, or you can post your thoughts and comments on our social media outlets. Let's continue the conversation. What's your other keys to victory? We'll have that conversation and more on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Friday morning with a couple of wrecks. One on Lurleen northbound at McFarland and Northport is specialized. Another on 2059 westbound. It's a vehicle fire before exit 45 in Utah. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business with finance rates as low as 0%, rebates up to $5,000. Go save a bundle. I'm Captain Ray.
Indeed helps you hire great people fast. Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service, they've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy, that's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East, in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
Hey, Bama fans, before you head to the stadium to watch the Tide roll, stop by JD's Market and Spirits for all your tailgating needs for Bama football games. Located only 3 blocks from the stadium, JD's offers over 500 liquor items, 400 wine items, and a huge selection of craft, domestic, and imported beers. JD's also has hot dogs, snacks, ice, and game day supplies. Everything you need for tailgating. JD's Market and Spirits, 400 yards from Bryant-Denny Stadium on the west side. Call 722-2113.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21. Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy weather continues today and tonight with periods of rain. The high today 79, tonight's low 65. Tomorrow and Sunday, mostly cloudy both days with scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms. Highs between 77 and 80. I'm James Spain of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 76 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at southmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's a beautiful Friday morning. It's the eve of Alabama versus the Florida Gators. Alabama's first big test of the 2021 season, road test going down to the Swamp to play. I do not have fun memories of the Swamp. 35-0, a called score or a called margin of defeat. We're talking about score prediction today, so we'd like to get your score prediction in before we go off the air today. And we're looking for total yards for the Florida Gators as the tiebreaker. Absolute opportunity for Alabama to, I say, take a stranglehold on the number one team as the number one team in the country if they don't already have that. After a lackluster first quarter against Mercer, how will the Crimson Tide come out and play, and what's the keys to victory there? Curtis Lewis says protect Bryce, biggest key, which can be tied with control of the line of scrimmage. So I'll toss it to you guys on, we'll look the top 1, 2, or 3 keys to victory. Xavier, I'll start off with you. What's your first overall keys to victory for the Crimson Tide against the Florida Gators?
Yeah, I think we have to definitely get pressure on these quarterbacks and Jones and Richardson, but you have to keep containment. You cannot get pressure and allow them to get out into open space because they are dangerous. Anthony Richardson is averaging 25 yards of carry right now. So once he gets into space, you know he can do damage, and he's a big guy at 6'4", 235 pounds. So definitely get pressure, but keep containment at the same time.
So pressure and containment. Coach Saban likes to refer to it as move the pocket, but don't lose your gap responsibility. So want to make sure that we definitely look into that. So pressure and contain. We have a call coming in, so let's go ahead and get to that call. We'll come back to that pressure and contain with Richardson and Jones. Good morning, Robert. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys.
Hey, now.
Hey, Doug. This will definitely be their first big road test.
Yes.
Alabama State had in a couple of years, actually. Even more so than last year. Because, last year with the COVID situation, the stadiums were just, half filled.
Correct.
Even though, Death Valley. And so they can still hear on offense and they can still, communicate last year. And I think that's what Nick Saban's worried about this year is, okay, now you're going to get the full real crowd noise. And you're not going to be able to hear. You're not going to be able to hear yourself think practically and how we're going to handle that. So that's what's so I think that's going to be huge. I got a question, though. Do you think that if we want to keep these quarterbacks in the pocket and force them to throw, make them prove that they can beat us from the pocket?
Yes, that's why. I mean, that would be my thoughts. My thing is that's why I said move the pocket. Don't let them just set up and throw. Move the pocket, but contain them. And what that means is make sure that you put kind of some pressure directly in their face, but don't lose them either by. And it's so important. How you do that, Robert, because if you put too much pressure in their face, they have two ways of escaping if you get right up the middle. If your outside guys don't move up the field with you, then you create a gap between the interior lineman and inside release, which is deadly straight down the middle of the field. And if we go back and look, where did Joe Burrows run the ball most of the time? He was right up the middle of the field because we were getting pressure, but we weren't getting it at the same level. But then with these guys, I think they want to get outside. They want to get on the edge. So you want to make sure that you move the pocket, meaning that you get pressure, but everybody kind of stay congruent and together and move together, and then don't leave open lanes right up the middle of the field or to the outside.
Yeah, and I think that's why Nick Saban was so on discipline.
Right.
Okay, now you got to get all this real crowd noise, and you're not going to be able to hear. And if we turn the ball over, or if we give a dumb penalty that can cost us, it affects you 1,000 times more in these kind of games when the crowd's just going to be going insane and you can't hear. You need that, as you well know, Martin, your son too. You're going to need discipline 1,000 times more than ever now because that crowd's not going to give you an inch. Everything you give the defense because of stupid penalties, it's gonna cost us royally.
Yeah, and we hadn't talked about this, but we got a lot of young guys on offense, and right now they've pretty much been able in the games because Alabama have pretty intelligent fans, and Xavier, you can comment on this as well. But they have pretty intelligent fans. Alabama does, so we know not to make too much noise when our offense has the ball. So what's the method that a lot of these teams use to snap the ball? It's that clap, right? Or there's silent counts, but and if you use a silent count, it doesn't matter when you get caught in the noise. But if you use the clap or vocal, this is the type game, Robert, to your point, that the noise can be a game changer, Xavier.
Yeah, definitely. And you talk about the young guys, especially these sophomores or these freshmen that are playing that have no idea
Right.
what this atmosphere can be as an opposing team. So these guys are going to have to be able to communicate and be on point. You know, Bryce is going to have to be able to talk to his wide receivers, get them set up, make his calls, make his adjustments with noise for the first time in his career. So that's definitely going to be a challenge for him. But I think he's up for the task. You know, he's pretty cool, calm, and collected so far.
Yeah, and Robert, I'll let you go after this, but even at the high school level, we have part of our conversation has been we're going to have to start bringing speakers out to our practice field because almost every one of our penalties has come around either a late snap or our guy the lineman here to snap and the center doesn't. And so and these guys aren't used to that at this level, so it definitely can have an impact. You got anything else for me before I let you go?
Yeah, I was just curious. Can they even hear that clap when it's that loud?
No.
When people on the road do it, can you even hear it?
That's what I'm saying is if they a lot of times they can't. And
I can't be at that point. Huh?
yeah, and so what you have you ever notice that the guard in some teams will actually be turned around looking and he's looking at the quarterback and the center's looking straight ahead, and once the center I'm sorry, Curtis just gave a comment, but when the quarterback's ready, he lets the guard know, the guard taps the center, and then everyone else does what you should do and be trained to do. But that's the problem. Sometimes when you don't have the crowd noise, you don't learn that discipline. Is you should be looking at the ball anyway, Robert. But when you don't have the crowd noise, what do you start to do? You start to listen for the clap. And so that could be a problem. Of course, we're going to take Curtis Lewis's point. Crowd noise is not that big of a deal, big of a factor since you can shut up crowd noises. But the key is shutting it up. We can't come out like we did last week and shut down the crowd. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man.
Have a good one. All right. Let's go ahead so we can get back on track. We'll come back. I want to comment on about the pressure and the contain, something I want to say about that. Handling crowd noise. Joe, we're going to get your keys victory. Xavier, you may have some more as well. All of that conversation is waiting for you on the other side of the break. We'll kick off the second half with more conversation around keys to victory, get a couple players of the game, and then we'll make a jaunt around the SEC and get our score predictions as well. You're listening to the Martin Houston Show, and we're able to do this because of people like Southmark Design. Southmark Design, the official outfitter of the Martin Houston Show. Graphic design, commercial printing, promotional products, and apparel. Scott Smith and his team do a great job. All you have to do is reach out to them via the internet at southmarkdesign.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Friday morning with a couple of wrecks. One on Lurleen northbound at McFarland and Northport, expect delays. Another on
Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Your front row seat to all the action. Place bets on all professional and most college sports at the counter, kiosk, or on your phone. Then catch the game on one of our 20 big screens from the comfort of the newly remodeled Timeout Lounge. Plus, the PRR Sports app gives you access to live, in-play sports betting. Sportsbook at Pearl River Resort. Be more than a fan. Be a player. Must be 21.
Football season's here. Time to cheer on the home team. Another team you can get behind is BMW of Tuscaloosa, your hometown BMW dealership. Our roster of players is here to ensure you draft the right car. Our starting lineup of new 2021 BMW vehicles is stacked with all-stars, including 7 sports activity vehicles, each crafted to balance dynamic power, spacious interior, and impeccable design in ways only BMW can. Visit BMWofTuscaloosa.com or stop by to get to know your hometown BMW team.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com. That's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Keys to victory. That's what we're talking about right here on the Martin Houston Show. What's your keys to victory? Does Alabama have what it takes with this young offensive team to go down and not just win, but to live up to the hype around this team? First big test, Robert telling us that crowd noise could be a factor. Totally be important to see how this team plays. And sometimes crowd noise actually helps a team when you go on the road because it forces you to be more focused. So maybe that the crowd noise actually can help the Crimson Tide in that sense. Xavier, you had mentioned pressure and contain, and with this team, the question is this team can these quarterbacks throw on the pocket? Have they proven themselves to be the type of guys that can move? So will Alabama have an all out pass rush in terms of getting after the quarterback, or will they be more contained? And does that make Will Anderson more of a factor or less of a factor in terms of the fact that he's coming off of that injury, guys?
Well, I think as far as him coming off the injury, I think he's okay. I think he'll be fine. If they need to put him on a pitch count, per se, they have the ability to do that with Chris Braswell also coming off the bench. So if he just needs to be in on those obvious pass situations, it's something that you could potentially see Alabama do. But as far as keeping contained, it shouldn't be that big of an issue because we have the big guys up front and Mathis and Boy and Byron Young who can get that inside pressure. And then, of course, like we talked about, the guys off of the edge being able to collapse the pocket. But they do have to make sure that they keep that outside arm free and make sure that these guys don't bounce out because that's where they like to be on the edge.
Yeah, and Joe, I'll ask you kind of that same question with the fact that we may not be looking for that all-out go sack the quarterback pass rush. Does that play to Alabama's advantage with Will Anderson coming off of injury? Even though he appears to be, we're getting good news, but does it even play to Alabama advantage that we're not necessarily looking for him to be that dog on the edge? And more potentially, and this is if what we're saying is right. Alabama may have a totally different philosophy, but the fact that we may not want him necessarily getting up the field so much this week, because that's how you create that gap in that little step under lane. Does that play to Alabama's advantage?
I think that I think that Alabama is going to have a huge advantage in this game up front, anyways, and I think that I'm not really concerned about Florida really getting out because Anthony Richardson dealing with a hamstring issue, um, and Emory Jones, Martin. If you watch the games I sent you,
Yeah,
from to he stands in the pocket like his dad. He's an athletic guy. He's very athletic, but when
right.
he's deciding to pass, when he said, "Oh, this is a pass play," he takes his drop back and stands in the pocket like a statue, and it's almost like he eliminates his own mobility. You hit on it with getting the pass rush up the middle to kind of prevent that the step up from the quarterback, and I think that's really going to be the key with Will Anderson. I think he's going to play, and I think Xavier hit that he could be on a pitch count, but I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to be effective.
All right. Did you have a key of victory that you'd like to throw out for discussion before we move on?
I think the key to victory is just going to be to play clean and really slow down Malik Davis, the running back. I think if you take him out of the game, then Florida's going to be in a real world of hurt.
Yeah, and when I look at it from a standpoint of the excuse me, when you look at the running game, the running game, Joe, of these dual threat guys, many times is based on a really good running back as well. You know, because you get that extra runner when you can do wildcat and things like that. But if you just have to go to a wildcat, then that limits your dynamic offensive play calling. But if you have a running back that's a threat running the ball as well as getting even, and I know it's not, we don't consider it option so much, but it's really a triple option. They give it, they fake it to the running back himself, and if he's having a good day, then you have to take away that first option. Then they go to, hey, you take that away, we're going to pass it. That's the second option. And if that guy's not there, then the quarterback runs it, which becomes your third option. And they may flip the pass and the quarterback run. And so it really is a triple option in the modern era. And if the running back is on, it can be a long day for you.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think another big thing would potentially be keeping their two best pass rushers out of the backfield, which is Carter and Moon. And Moon's a Hoover Buck product, so this is a big game for him to getting to play the team from right down the road where he grew up. But those two guys being able to keep them out of the backfield, keep Bryce clean, is going to be a big part of the game with the way they're able to get after the quarterback.
Yeah, we got a couple other comments coming in. I get your thoughts on those real quick. Xavier, I'm going to agree. This is CJ Watts. I'm going to agree with Curtis and kind of goes to what you just said. Control the line of scrimmage, keep Bryce from having to be mobile. So protect Bryce. It's okay if he does it on his own, but keep him from having to be mobile. And on the defensive side, control by that defensive front. And Curtis adding to that, a bigger factor than Mr. Anderson is Mathis pushing the pocket and Byron Young having another good game. Anderson won't get as many pressures. Thoughts on that?
No, definitely. If you can keep that inside pressure, that makes it easier for Will and Drew because you're now forcing that quarterback to pick a side. Pick your poison. Do you want Sanders? Do you want Anderson? Do you want Braswell? So I think as long as those guys have a big game up the middle, it'll keep it really hard on these quarterbacks, but they won't be able to step up, and you'll be rolling into one of Alabama's strengths.
Absolutely. C.J. Watson had a comment about Alabama playing on the road, but let's get to George from Macon before we get to that comment. George, welcome into the Martin Houston Show with X's and O's. Xavier Houston, how you doing, sir? What's on your mind?
I'm doing good. Just a few quick comments. I think what's the big difference this year in the past, we got so much team speed, outside linebackers with, Sanders and Anderson, they got such quickness, and also our outside linebackers and inside linebackers, we got such good quickness in our safeties. I just think that the days of a quarterback just running free like Johnny Manziel did or Sean Watson is going to be very limited because, like you all have already stated, the middle of the pocket's going to collapse, and being able to get a lane outside, with our team speed is going to be very, very difficult. So I'm obviously I'm always worried about everything, but I think that our team is going to, cancel that out. But I think we're going to really show. We are going to show that we can run the ball. I think we're going to soften them up in the middle. In that, I have been disappointed in our run game. I don't understand why we can't have the long runs or more than 75, 80, 90 yards. I think that has been fixed, and I think that's going to be a huge difference, and it's really going to help Bryce out. Those are my comments, and listen, thanks for taking my call, and roll tide, baby.
Hey, George, hold on for a second. A lot of people are asking about the long runs. The key. You know what creates long runs in a running game?
Getting hit in the mouth.
It's not the linemen. Everybody always thinks it's linemen that create long runs. It's the wide receivers. And I talked about this on Alabama Tradition. I'm not questioning. I can't sit here today and tell you, Xavier and Joe, that I have watched the wide receiver blocking in great detail. But I can tell you, if there's not a commitment by the wide receivers to block, and Ryan and I talked about one of the maddest or the most animated you saw last year, that Ryan brought up was when Devontae Smith got onto one of the other wide receivers for not blocking, on a run play. And that's the difference in, a 15-yarder being a 25-yarder or a 45-yarder is the wide receiver's commitment to blocking.
Oh, yeah, no, without a doubt. Everybody has to block to make the play successful. And when you see our guys getting tackled as they're breaking out, it's the cornerback coming off of a block, it's the safety coming off of his block, whoever. Now, of course, they've always got you on big runs. You also have to make somebody miss. You're going to have to, whether that be running them over, stiff arm shake, Najee Harris style jumping over the top. But the wide receivers have to key in on their blocks to be able to start that process.
Yeah, I was going to say that's that. If they're following in on the play at about 12 to 15 yards, then it's going to be tough to get to those, that 20, 25-yard run. And of course, unless it's a wildcat, the other team has you outnumbered by 2. Okay, the quarterback and the running back, so they're going to have 11 guys to make a tackle, and hopefully you can kind of make some of those guys be irrelevant by the play design. But the other side of that is you're generally going to have to beat one guy if you're going to take it to the house on a long run. Coming back on the other side, we'll get the final score predictions. We'll put the finishing touches on this edition of the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks as traffic begins to pick up around town. McFarland eastbound steady coming into Northport to Lurleen. If you see conditions, of course, give us a call. Townsend Nissan is taking care of business with low finance rates, extra rebates that'll save you a bundle. Go see them. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning, according to court documents, for 2 weeks, 27-year-old Lachey Devondre Edwards had been making harassing phone calls to Cincy Valley High, Cincy Valley Middle School, and Myrtlewood Elementary. He used an app to hide his identity, but Tuscaloosa County Sheriff's deputies were able to identify him. When they went to his Foster's house to serve a warrant, he resisted, allegedly attacking the deputies, injuring two, including biting. The reason for the harassing calls has not been revealed. I'm Dominic.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service, they've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
Dell's semi-annual sale is the perfect opportunity for a significant business upgrade. Save up to 45% on Dell computers built for business with Windows 10 Pro. Plus, enjoy special pricing on Dell docks, monitors, servers, and more, all with easy financing options through Dell Financial Services. Succeed anywhere with Windows 10 Pro. Speak to a Dell Technologies advisor today to find the right tech for your business with fast, free shipping. Call 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
What's better than a new car or SUV? It's only one set of vehicles, a Townsend Nissan CPO certified pre-owned vehicle. They help you make an intelligent vehicle selection. And yes, they have all the rewards with a nationwide factory warranty up to 100,000 miles or 7 years. And best of all, free roadside assistance for up to 100,000 miles or 7 years. Now that's peace of mind nationwide. Plus, super low finance rates up to 72 months. And right now, your current vehicle is worth so much more. Don't wait. Shop your local family in the car business, Townsend Nissan, located right here in Titletown.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
You're hot right now.
All right, it's time for the Alabama One Insurance 2-minute warning. Don't forget about Alabama One. Alabama One, refi, reduce, and ride. That is the refinance promotion going on. Will match or beat your interest rates right now as low as 1.99. Terms and conditions do apply. Up to $250 cash back, as well as 60 days no pay. So great time to look at refi. Always have great rates on our consumer products, auto, signature, unsecured loans, as well as mortgage, financial wealth advisory, and of course our insurance, alabama1insurance.com. We'll review your policies, reduce your premiums, and you can relax knowing that you're properly covered. That's Alabama One, Alabama One Insurance, alabama1insurance.com, Alabama One together. All right, let's get on it. Only got a couple minutes here, so Xavier, I'll start with you first. What's your prediction, and if you have a candidate for player of the game?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 38-20. And my player of the game is going to be wild card here, Brian Robinson Jr. I think this is the game that he solidifies himself as the top back. We've seen it so far through the first two games, but he hasn't gotten a lot of touches. But I think this game will be a little bit more of a dogfight, a little bit more of a grinded out type game as far as we're not going to blow this team out right off the bat. So I think Brian will show that he is capable of being the number one back.
All right. How many yards do you think this Florida offense is going to get? I mean, yeah, offense, yeah. Totally.
370.
All right. Joe, you have a prediction for me and a player of the game candidate?
I'm going to go with 41-17 Alabama, and I'll take Bryce Young.
Bryce Young. What about yards?
Oh, I don't know, Martin. What's Florida average? We'll hold them below their average by a bit. 280, something like that. 310.
Okay. That's I should have went before you. My score, Joe, I was looking at either 41-17 or 34-17. And I have 295. I guess I have to pick one of those right before I go off the air. Player of the game, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna take the coward's way out probably. I think our defense is gonna be the key to this game. I think they're gonna set the tone early against this team and stymie this offense, get them frustrated. And as a result, our offense is going to have a really good game. So I'm going to go with the 41-17 on the higher side because I think our defense is going to make some plays, give us some short fields, and we're going to get some success early. Player of the game, if I have to pick one guy, he won't necessarily be the guy who has all the tackles and everything, but you're going to see a really crisp defense because of the leadership of Toa Toa. And he'll be one of those guys that we may not see as many tackles, but we'll see a lot of respect. Other quick games from around the country. How big of a game is the Auburn and Penn State game for Auburn and the Penn State game for the Big Ten? Xavier, give your thoughts real quick.
I think it's huge for Auburn. Auburn's blown out both teams that they played so far, but they haven't played anybody. And can Penn State stay in the race and make the Big Ten respectable?
Yep. Right now, Iowa and Penn State holding the torch for the Penn State, and of course, Penn State getting disrespected once again in the AP poll, sitting behind a one-loss Ohio State. So they'll be out to prove that they should be at least in front of a one-loss Big Ten team. Lots of great games going on, but the one that you want to watch is the Alabama Crimson Tide going down to play the Florida Gators. Xavier, tell them real quick where they can find your podcast.
Yes, you can find my podcast, X's and O's Sports. You can find it on all major podcast streams, Apple, Spotify, and you also can follow me on my YouTube channel under the same name, X's and O's Sports.
All right, that's X's and O's Sports Podcast host Xavier Houston. That's Joe Gaither behind the glass for the Alabama Crimson Tide Network, home network, I should say. Tide 100.9. I'm Martin Houston, the Martin Houston Show. Remember this: trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, and all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths. Roll Tide and have a blessed day, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.